Hi, welcome back to my channel. Were you brought up being taught to be nice? Yet now, as an adult, or even then, you always felt taken advantage of or your boundaries were broken without really knowing that they were boundaries? This video is for you. Hi, I'm Sandy. So, in my research for this boundaries video, AI came up with nice behaviors often mask conflict or rejection. So, I found that interesting. If you find that interesting, write below what you find interesting about what AI wrote about that. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? I'm kind of like stumped on it. Maybe I'm just not seeing it as conflict, or to me, being nice, because I marinated in this, and you have to be nice, or that's not nice, or scolded for not being nice. It was the lack of modeling, the lack of having the tools to, and having an adult teach me good conflict resolution. That comes from early on. To me, that's not a mask. It might look like that in adult relationships, learning it that way, but I don't think it's intentionally a mask to avoid conflict. It was what I was taught. You were taught to be nice, and who doesn't want to be nice or seen it as nice? There's a difference between being nice and being a kind person. There's a difference, and kind people have boundaries, and that's what this video is mostly about. So not setting boundaries and having that modeled to me kept me in the trauma triangle. And that's what people that I'm sure that's how my dad learned stuff too. It's just that as adults, that's the difference. As adults, once we learn these things, once we learn that this is not healthy, this is not functioning, that we have the choice as adults to do something different. So that's why I'm so passionate about this trauma triangle, because I didn't know it existed. I lived it. I have the start of the series over here. I'll link it there, and then I'll have the whole series below. But I thought I'd end the series with boundaries. So my dad doesn't like anybody to have boundaries because he doesn't have boundaries. And to have boundaries helps you get out of the trauma triangle. When you have healthy boundaries, when you start doing healthy boundaries, they come off to the people that have been benefiting from you not having boundaries as being mean. Then you become the bad guy and the perpetrator, which I have a video on that. You become the perpetrator in their story. So not having boundaries led to me abandoning myself and lowering my self-esteem and my self-worth. When you abandon yourself, that's when your self-esteem goes down, or even your confidence. Especially since I've been setting more boundaries, I've noticed that my confidence has increased immensely. So here's a story that normally I would have done something different. So before my dad disowned me, he wanted me to come over. He hates reading the mail. He's a hard time deciphering what is important and what's not important, and it takes him a really long time to do it. So that's why he doesn't want to do it. So I have to drive past, not physically drive past, literally drive past. It's a couple streets over, but I do have to drive past his house to get to downtown. So he called me up and he wanted me to stop over at his house every day for 5 minutes to read his mail. Maybe in a different timeline or a different season, maybe I would have considered that. But in doing that, I'm not having time for my responsibilities in my life, and he is a grown-ass person. He can read his own mail, and the only way he's going to get better at it is if he practices. So me enabling him coming over for 5 minutes, which it's not going to take 5 minutes. It's going to take way more than 5 minutes to help him read his mail. So the boundary I set, I was helping 2 days a week. You can hold off on the mail and I will come and I will read it on the designated days and times that I have set aside to help you with this. I am not coming over for 5 minutes a day or whatever. I'm not going to do that. Then he started the circle talking, and then I was the bad guy. So I said, no, I'm not doing that. This is what you have available. This is all I can give you. That was the first time I started stepping out of the trauma triangle. So to summarize that, basically, if you ever feel like you're throwing yourself under the bus, for me to go over and read my dad's mail, I would have had to throw myself under the bus, basically. Another reminder that I need a lot. So I'm going to put it on here so that everybody else can hear it, because I love it when people tell me this. No is a complete sentence. We don't have to explain our boundary. We don't have to explain. I didn't have to explain to my dad all the things that I needed to get done and all my responsibilities. No is a complete sentence. I am not coming over and reading your mail. No. They will try. That's another tip. Have you backpedal on your boundaries and not hold them. So they're going to try to talk you in a circle that you get so confused that you just eventually say yes. No is a complete sentence. The one thing that I had to really learn, and that's kind of what I said in the beginning, was that boundaries are an act of kindness. They're a kindness to you and they're a kindness to other people. It makes life so much clearer when you can learn to speak clear boundaries and receive clear boundaries. So if you haven't been on my channel yet, I'll tell you the disowning story, bring this whole thing home. So I was helping my parents. My mom declined, and I was at work till 10 o'clock at night, and my dad left me a voicemail, and he was just screaming on it, saying nasty things to me. I guess there was some kind of schedule malfunction, which he's in charge of the schedule. So he missed out on an event that he wanted to go to. None of that was my responsibility. But he chose to leave me a horrible message, and I didn't even listen to all of it. He was swearing at me, saying all this, and the next day I was supposed to go and help him again. So I called him at 9 o'clock and I told him that I'm not coming over. I'm not going to, first of all, I am exhausted from working last night, and then your message was not okay. I'm not going to participate in a message. If I'm not going to be treated with respect and talked to respectfully, I'm not coming over. So I told him that I needed a couple days break from that message because I needed the weekend to recoup. That message was just super draining. And if he's not going to, I told him that if he's not going to speak to me respectfully, then I'm not coming over. So before I basically even had that out of my mouth, he's like, "You're no longer my daughter and you are not coming over to my house anymore." And I'm like, okay. And then I hung up. He might have said a couple other things I was angry about, but that's the gist of the story. So I could have let that slide and not said anything about the message and just ignored it. But I'm not going to be yelled at and screamed at and sworn at and said horrible things to. I'm just not going to participate in that. So in a way, ideally, this does protect me from being sworn at. And it also gives him the opportunity to find other people to help my mom and get her an aide and other professionals to get more people so that we all don't get burned out. In a healthy situation, that would be how that goes. He didn't get her an aide or help yet, but that's a whole nother series. In that moment, it was, I've told this to other people too, I probably said it in different videos. It was a beautiful gift wrapped in horrible packaging. I was set free. In that moment, he set me free because I don't know what parent would ever say that to their child. I know all of his backstory, not all of it, I know some of it. And I understand maybe how that made sense. He denies that he ever did it. He did it again but anyways, ever since that moment, that was a key thing to understanding that dynamic and breaking free of that trauma triangle for me, was to say no to my dad and then him be himself and continue to be like that. But it set me free. Those boundaries, every time I did that, those little boundaries added up to me finally being free of that trauma triangle. Not completely, because my dad is a force, but I get new because of other people. Because the perpetrator, I don't know, perpetrator and a narcissist, I don't know how that all works. Because perpetrator, I did a video on the perpetrator, that it can be reflected on. So I don't know if it's more, I haven't dissected the perpetrator versus narcissist yet, but a narcissist will gather people to come against you. We call them flying monkeys. I've adopted that idea. That might be a divorce thing, but I've adopted that idea into this perspective. My dad's trying to get more flying monkeys to come at me, but some of these flying monkeys are actually quite smart and actually ask me and talk to me before they make the assumption of what side they're gonna be on. I never got into that ever. Like, maybe when I was a kid because it's a childish thing, but if you have flying monkeys coming at you, comment below flying monkeys and we can have a conversation. So to recap, being nice keeps you stuck in the trauma triangle. If you, like, for the longest time, I prided myself on being nice, being seen as a nice person. I no longer want that. I want people to see me as a kind and loving person, not a nice person. Because nice means you don't have boundaries. You're looking for other nice people that don't have boundaries to complete that trauma triangle over and over and over again. Something else that I learned from Natalie Huffman is clean pain. It's painful not having the people in my life that are my family, because I've had to set boundaries because their behaviors are not healthy for me or them, but especially for me. So it's super painful, but it's clean pain. The toxicity of this triangle and all this, even the flying monkeys. At one point, I was like reading this message and I'm like, maybe if this keeps going on, I'm gonna have to be like, thank you for contacting me, and I appreciate the concern of my mom, but I didn't have to. She stopped messaging me, but it was really getting to me because then people are wanting me to do something that I don't have the bandwidth for. And that's okay. If that's you, and if all of a sudden people are putting all these expectations on you or you feel that way, take a step back. It is okay to be like, you know what? I don't have the bandwidth right now. I will revisit that at this time. But right now, I do not have the bandwidth for that. Back to clean pain. Even though there's a loss of connection and it hurts, boundaries lead to healing and freedom. Even though the trauma triangle is super familiar to me, I've lived it. It's been my life. Even though the unknown of walking outside and feeling so lonely and disconnected, because that's where I'm at right now, is super disconnected. Even though that feeling of the unknown and the disconnection feels so scary, let me tell you, it is so worth it. It is so worth being bad for. So let's be bad together. Comment below on the ways that you're bad today. If you want to watch the previous video in the series, click here. If you want to watch more of my videos, click here. Bye.